As we know, the NFL is a dangerous sport. It takes a tremendous toll on these players' bodies. There's been a lot of great players' careers that were shortened by injuries and unforeseen circumstances. So here's 10 NFL careers that was cut short. Number 1 is Barry Sanders, who's one of the greatest running backs in NFL history. Sanders played his entire career for the Lions, but the problem was that while Sanders was still an elite player, the rest of his team was not very good. Sanders had to endure one losing season after another, and the desire to compete and the juices needed to play in the NFL slowly faded away, until he decided to walk away from the sport he loved. Sanders was only one full season away from topping the all-time career rushing totals of Walter Payton. The ironic part was that Sanders was still healthy when he retired, so passing Payton was something that seemed like a realistic goal. For his career, Sanders gained 15,269 yards on the ground, 2,921 yards in pass receptions, and scored 109 total touchdowns, 99 rushing, and 10 receiving. Sanders is currently ranked number 3 all time behind Emmitt Smith and Payton. Sanders did lead the Lions to the playoffs in 1991, but he lost in the NFC Championship game. Sanders was also voted the MVP in 1997. Sanders played in only 10 NFL seasons, from 1989 to 1998. Number 2 is Luke Kuechly. Kuechly was a 7-time Pro Bowler and 5-time first-team All-Pro, who was the 2012 Defensive Rookie of the Year and the 2013 Defensive Player of the Year for the Carolina Panthers. Nicknamed Captain America, Kuechly was a fan favorite who left the game at the age of 28. Though he did not specify his exact reasons for retiring, he suffered numerous concussions throughout his career. He had missed multiple games as a result of those injuries. Kuechly was well on pace to be a future Hall of Famer, but unfortunately, his body was telling him to hang it up. Number 3 is Andrew Luck, one of the most talented and lauded quarterback prospects to enter the league. Luck would be remembered for what he might have accomplished had he been able to stay healthy. Luck had spent the summer recovering from a lower body injury and stunned the league by retiring in the preseason, with the news of his decision breaking while he was on the sidelines during the Colts game. Luck, still only 30, played 6 seasons for the Colts. Luck was a 4-time Pro Bowler and had over 23,000 passing yards, 171 touchdowns, and only 83 interceptions in his short career. Number 4 is Calvin Johnson. Lions superstar Calvin Megatron Johnson was an unstoppable receiver for the entirety of his career, which he voluntarily cut short in 2016 at the age of 30. A 6-time Pro Bowler, Johnson twice led the league in receiving yards. He said he retired because the wear and tear of football had taken a toll on his body. He could not perform to the level he expected. He said, "I'm not going to go out there if I'm not 100%. Had he not retired so early, Megatron could have been recognized as a top 3 receiver of all time. You can't find many guys that are 6'5" and runs a 4.3. Number 5 is Chris Borland. Many of you probably don't even know who this is besides Niners fans, but Borland was a great player for the Niners his rookie year. As a linebacker, Borland had a total of 108 tackles, 12 tackles for losses, and 2 interceptions. And keep in mind, he did so while only starting in 8 games. Borland even finished 4th in the Defensive Rookie of the Year voting behind Aaron Donald, C.J. Mosley, and Khalil Mack. But unfortunately, Borland had suffered numerous concussions and abruptly retired after his rookie year. Borland had so much potential to be one of the best linebackers in the league. Number 6 is Sterling Sharpe. Sharpe was a wide receiver from the Green Bay Packers from 1988 to 1994. Sharpe's career lasted for only 7 years. He was in great shape, and no doubt would have played as long as his brother Shannon Sharpe played, if not for a neck injury that derailed his career. Sharpe was a gifted receiver. He wound up leading the NFL in receiving yards, receptions, and touchdown catches in 1992. He managed to pull off the same feat in 1993. In 1994, his final year in the NFL, he caught 18 touchdown passes, which was second most in NFL history at that time. It helped that Sharpe had Brett Favre throwing him the ball, because his numbers started to take off when Favre was his quarterback. It's too bad that the neck injury happened when it did. Number 7 is Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson knows football. He also knows baseball and how to stay in fantastic shape. Unfortunately, it's due to an injury on the football field that robbed Jackson of many years of production, because Jackson was simply an amazing running back. Jackson was the first athlete that was named an All-Star in 2 major team sports, which illustrates how great of an athlete Jackson was. His NFL career was way too short, lasting only 4 years, from 1987 to 1990. Jackson played for the Los Angeles Raiders in those 4 years, and served the Raiders as the backup to Marcus Allen. Despite playing second string, Jackson saw the ball enough to gain 2,782 rushing yards and scored 6 touchdowns. He averaged a whopping 5.4 yards per carry during his career. His most memorable game was on the Monday Night Football in 1987 against the Seattle Seahawks, where he rushed for 221 yards, which set a record for Monday Night Football. He had only been in the league for less than 1 month. Other highlights of the game were when Jackson flattered Brian Bosworth for a touchdown plunge and sprinted down the sidelines for a 91-yard touchdown. We will never know how Jackson would have changed the fate of the Raiders' fortunes. In a playoff game in 1990, Jackson injured his hip on a tackle from Kevin Walker of the Cincinnati Bengals. Legend has it that Jackson popped his own hip back into the socket. Bo knows his body too. Number 8 is Marcus Lattimore. A great college back for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Lattimore had over 1,100 yards rushing his freshman year. but unfortunately, he had 2 serious knee injuries in his sophomore and junior year. Lattimore ultimately declared for the NFL draft and was selected in the 4th round by the San Francisco 49ers. Everyone knew how talented Lattimore was and was hoping he could be healthy enough like he was his freshman year. Unfortunately, Lattimore never got to play a snap in the NFL due to his knee injury, in which he dislocated his right knee and tore every ligament while also suffering nerve damage. He's another what could have been player. Number 9 is Terrell Davis. Davis was limited to just 7 seasons in the NFL, primarily due to all the injuries he suffered in his career. Davis had torn an ACL, torn MCL, and later had surgery on both his knees. During his career, Davis averaged over 1,000 yards per season, as he gained 7,607 yards to average almost 1,100 yards per year. Davis helped the Broncos win 2 Super Bowls while in Denver. Davis was voted on as a running back on the ESPN All-Time 40-Man Super Bowl roster. The running back is such a brutal position for injuries. And number 10 is Pat Tillman, who was an American hero. He played safety for the Arizona Cardinals for a short 4-year career from 1998 to 2001. Even though he was a low 7th round pick, Tillman excelled at what he did and was named to the NFL All-Pro team in 2000. When the terrorists hijacked the planes that crashed into the World Trade Towers on 9/11, he was so moved that he decided after the conclusion of his season that he would walk away from the NFL to enlist and fight in the war against terrorism. Tillman went to Afghanistan and was part of a combat group made of the Army Rangers. Sadly, Tillman passed away during the war, and it was later determined by the Pentagon that Tillman died from friendly fire.